George will get through this. We have time, so let's call the meeting to order for Parks and Recreation Commission, Tuesday, October 21st at 6:01 p.m. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bozo,
Oh, here.
Commissioner Jimenez, Commissioner Miller, Commissioner Vargas, Commissioner Vice Chair Martinez,
Here.
and Chair Ramirez.
Here. Next we'll do a flag salute, and Sam, if you please lead us in our flag salute.
Please stand. Collection. And begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sam. Secretary's report.
The
Right.
agenda was published Wednesday, October 15th at 1:16 p.m.
We're at the point in the agenda where we look at approval of last month's minutes. Excuse me, if everybody's had a chance to look at that. I'll take a motion for somebody to accept them as they're drafted or any changes.
I do have a question. I was just reading through them. And on page 3, like the last, under section 9.2. It says Commissioner Miller asked if there was room for expansion, where, would, and why. No. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Present.
Why don't, I just recommend you scratch the where, when, the where, would, and the gist of that was, is there room for expansion?
Yeah.
Good with that?
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't catch it.
Where are you? What was that now? 9.2 what?
It's like it's page 3, 9.2, the second part of it, the very last.
We would just scratch the where, would, and why out of that deal. So if there is a recommendation for approval of these, then it would be as amended. That's acceptable.
Okay. Any other changes or comments on the September minutes? I will make a motion to accept the minutes as drafted with the change where the word why on the 9.2 section of the store. Seconds. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Move on. Okay. Approval of today's agenda.
So moved.
We have a move to accept today's agenda. I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This proof is drafted. And Mr. Dowie, you're up for introductions.
Well, I think we're all friends here. So, we did, last night introduce at the council meeting our new city engineer, just very exciting. And, I'll bring, her name is Nisha Patel, and I'll bring her, at the next, commission meeting and introduce that. So.
What are some of the responsibilities of the city engineer?
City engineer, is responsible for sort of managing the engineering, staff, capital projects, related work there. The city engineer has a responsibility of signing all the formal, maps to be recorded. And, there's various elements to that point. They also, it's liaison and kind of the primary person for traffic safety.
And, okay, so I don't think we have any public comments that are not on the agenda, so we can go past that. New business, boards and commission appreciation. Done.
Just a note that, you have it on in the packet there, save the date, November 20th, 6 p.m. At the senior center is the, annual boards and commissions appreciation dinner. Please, let us know, if you're planning to attend. We can put you down and, I guess the other way I'd say it, if you're planning not to attend, let us know as well on that so that we can get a head count. For that.
Thank you. I know that this current council really wants to kind of change a little bit of the format and how they do that. They don't ever really get the commissioners engaged, so I highly encourage if you can make it. I know it's busy for some of you guys to probably get there, but if you can, I encourage you to go. All right, great. 9.2, proposed 2016 ETA Measure B encouragement and education for fiscal year 2025. Adam.
Yes, okay, turn to page 6, your meeting packet. So those of you who have served in prior years, may recognize this annual report that the city provides ETA. This funding received from a voter initiative in 2016 that they passed county. It provides all sorts of funding for projects. With regards to Parks and Recreation Commission, this is focused on just the encouragement and education funds. City has allocated an amount of money that they received through the tax dollars that go towards this for anything to do with encouragement and education. The majority of the funds have been expended on the GIS project. About that within the staff report. So this was completed in June 2025. It's now on the city's website. It's new mapping software that allows residents to access an abundance of information, including 56.8 miles of pathways, 3,200 signs, inventory, and 290 distinct points of interest along the routes selected. So if you are biking on the levee or the First Street downtown, and you want to get information on how to get from one point to another, it provides you a lot more information than before, including all of the additional information that you may find relevant.
Such a fountain, bike fixing station, public art, trash can benches. Any type of feature that we think would be useful in planning as a recreational bike ride or walking path or a routine pathway for a safe routes to school. And use that information and plan out the routes.
And then the other project that's involved, that you're all familiar with, is the Bike Tour Everday. So that's part of the encouragement segment. So every year, the Parks and Recreation Commission has hosted Bikes Tour Everday. And they have, it's typically held, it's an Energizer station, typically held at Christmas Hill Park, right on the levee, Miller, Beavis Park Drive entrance. And we're there handing out donuts, tote bags, t-shirts, and encouraging residents to use their bike more often. So car exercising, shop on the road, and it's better. So those are the projects that we report back to the BTA. So really, it's just questions. Otherwise.
I do have a comment. Bike and ped used to be part of recreation, part of the Parks and Recreation Commission, right? Were they together at one point?
So
Yeah, so Bike and Ped Commission was a standalone commission for quite a while. And one of the rounds of consolidation of commissions, its duties were split. So the infrastructure side of it, as far as planning the community, looking at bike lanes, that went to the planning commission. The education encouragement functions came to the Parks and Recreation Commission. And so you've inherited those particular functions, which is what the VTA process is education encouragement.
And just my personal feeling on that is I don't think we spend a lot of time looking at that. It was, focusing on that. Our focus has been on other areas. I know that we have a liaison with the county, Gene, Gene's last name.
Oh, Bernowski.
Bernowski,
Yeah.
and he would come report on occasion, and I just,
Yeah, so Eugene is no longer the representative, the vacant spot, there is another appointee process happening currently. To do that, and that's appointed by the mayor with consent of council, and I believe that is gonna be going up, pretty quick, I want to say maybe in December. When they do the update for the commissions, commission appointments, the MAD Act report, et cetera, so.
Wait, are you talking about the VTA, BPAC?
Feedback.
Oh, I applied for that and I'm doing it.
Oh, you applied for, yes, you applied for it, but it counts as also a point, so I,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
something.
appointed, or I will be appointed November.
oh, that's great, I didn't know that, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for doing it.
yeah.
So, but our hope is that with maybe with some access to county funds or something, we can do something more than just. Nothing wrong with Bike to Work every day, but I just feel like that's just one thing we want to focus on and pay a lot of attention to.
I-
Maybe. Yeah, so I'm open up, anybody wants to make comments on this week, it's open. So, yeah, please.
About the funding. So these funds, Adam, and correct me if I'm wrong, but are gonna be available again, like we're repaying for this GIS map until FY 27. It's what I
correct.
believe. So we will have funds available to use, or the city will, I guess. But we can put our input in of what we wanna do starting fiscal year 27 with the funds that are being future PE education. And I met with the county public health people last week. And they gave me like a bunch of packets and stuff of stuff they've put together and done. And then I met with Ecological Action. I think it was like 2 months ago, maybe. And they gave us an estimate of programming that they have, so it's stuff that we can do. And I asked the county public health department to come back in January and give all of us a presentation. And they haven't confirmed yet, but we have time of what we can do when the funds are available again.
Anybody else have comments, questions on that?
Well, I have a comment.
Sure, please.
I'm totally in favor of this, but, I had hip surgery, a year ago. And, so the physical therapist told me that I should, watch your riding on your bike. So I said, well, okay, so I went to Specialized Bike in Morgan Hill, they put wheels on my back tire. So that
Training.
was working pretty good, except one morning I was riding back from the coffee shop. And I was pushing the bike and the bike fell on top of me. So I went back to the physical therapist and she said, I don't think you should be riding on the bike anymore because it could hinder the hip surgery that you have. So in answer to that, I'm still in favor of this. I'll bring the donuts.
No, hold it to it.
Okay.
I have one more question about the GIS map too. Sorry, I just remembered. Is it just on the desktop or is there a mobile version?
It's visible through web browser. We're still looking at trying to do enhancements, so it's not done yet. We're working on an agreement with the vendor for ongoing maintenance and improvement contract. That'll be paid out of other fund, not the GIS, or not the
BTA.
not the VTA funds.
Cool, cause that'd be like if you're biking around, you're not gonna, like, you know, it'd be nice if there was an app.
Yeah,
If
and
we
we,
weren't using it.
as part of that project, the consultant was working on it, reached out to all the major vendors for GPS based, so Google Maps and I don't know, Google Maps, Apple Maps, trying to think of other major ones, but also like Garmin, those. Fortunately, most of them only take their data from a certain data set that's used by police agencies. But those that did accept outside signals, which I think Google Maps was one of them, they did. So certain apps will actually, and you do pedestrians, like pedestrian will route through some of our, pedestrian routes now. So,
Adam, so this document, it's just submitting what we did for the fiscal year 25, right?
Yeah. And then it talks about, the plan for next year.
It's
And
10
next-
two reports. So there's there's the annual report, which the first page has the highlighted, in orange. And then the second one is the program projects, and that's the forecast for the next year coming up.
So do we need to give input? I mean, the funds are expensed until the summer, right?
Yeah, so they've asked anything that's, I know that for the program of projects. It's forward looking, I think the Bike to Wherever Day is there, it's technically not funded by VTA. Bike ped education encouragement fund, I think, I'm assuming it's added in there because it is a bike ped encouragement activity. But that's something that the county or not the county, sorry, the VTA may push back on that, and say, well, if it's not funded this year, then don't include it. So perhaps it's, the action would probably be best to describe as review and provide input, but ultimately the VTA has set corrections to us before in previous versions back on Bike Ped Commission. Said, well, no, this isn't really quite right, we want to see these changes. So it could change additional VTA input.
This document, what?
The program project, so it'd be the one Highland Lagoon.
Okay, this could.
Yes, and they'll also comment on the other one as well, but that was usually, that one was the other report, the annual report is what's been spent on and completed. And so unless they say there's a performance metric that's not, preferred approach, or they want more data on it, then we'll provide it.
So. We don't need to give ideas of how we could spend this money next year, right, on this document. Sorry if I'm not being.
Oh, for next year, no, so this is for, well, the program of projects is the forward-looking one.
Yeah.
The annual is the previous year. So the forward-looking is only for the next fiscal year, which is the 26th year. I believe, right? Yeah, so there's no funding available for that one, so we're putting on because that would be VTS pushback, well, that's not being funded by the Bike Ped Encouragement and Education Fund, so take it off. Where it would come into effect would be the next cycle,
Okay,
and so we want to talk about that quite earlier than this point in time, because you're going to talk about that as part of the lead for the fiscal year.
Yeah,
And-
I'd like an idea, yeah, John.
If I could just suggest that, I think that's a perfect place to start that conversation is in your work program.
Mhm.
And we could, for next year, going into the next fiscal year, we could include that and start to work on that idea within your work plan. And then that obviously is a direct lead into prioritization of the council as well for that. So seems like the place to push that forward next year.
I like that we're gonna have a representative working with the county on that, and if they could do a presentation in January for the fiscal year, which I assume starts July next year is when the FY 27. So that's a good lead in, hopefully they give some ideas and we do something a little bit more.
yeah, the county, my understanding was they don't like directly, this is my understanding, but they could obviously speak to it themselves. They don't like have a program like, hey, we can put this on. They more can like connect us with resources and like show examples and stuff, but yeah, I agree.
Great. All right, nothing else, then ready to move on to the next one, which is item 9.3, which is review of the proposed recreation assessment consultant scope of work.
Yes, Commissioner, so inside in the packet is a draft scope of work. Staff report kind of presented a little bit of the history, which the council approved or brought to a consultant. And engage in RFPs for the assessment on restoration division. We are coming to the commission first after doing internal development, and then after the comments this evening, we're going to start having a meeting with council members in order to get their input as a final measure to create the final scope of work for the RFP. So you'll notice inside in the packets, a little lengthy, but we want to try to incorporate as much as possible. Again, this is draft. We'll be asking part of RFP likely to identify cost elements to each of the items. Most of these are items that are related to what council's asked for, or have impacts from what council's asked for to be assessed. We've included a couple other items as far as good measures like safety policies, reviewing our staffing, organization assessment, that's council related, technology, data and business processes. That's not something really council wanted, but that is impacted by some activities the council identified for the assessment and work plan, legislative agenda items, I should say. And so I can go through this if the commission wants to each section. Or if it's something that the commission's read already and is ready for comments, we can do it that way, whatever is in the commission's in interest of the commission's time this evening.
So it is a lengthy document, it's just 5 pages and it's pretty full, and there's a lot of information on there. So I had a chance to read through it once. This is part of, back again, the history, this is part of when we approached council and, encouraging make the recreation a little bit more robust, and during the budget process, we're gonna hire some people that kind of put in the back burner. Because council didn't feel like they had a good idea of what. So this study hopefully is gonna give them, this is where you are, this is what the national standards are, this is where you fall short. I think that's the gist of what this is trying to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I could talk about each section in high level, maybe that
I
would
think
help,
that's a
and
good
then
idea,
if
yeah.
there's something you want to delve into deeper, we can kind of go from there. So first section, project initiation, background review and governance is really just kind of looking almost at the current state as far as in general. What policies do we have in place? What's the intent of the assessment? What are we trying to get out of it? What are the goals? Mapping our policies to, the National Recreation Park Association's Commission for Accreditation. And some others identifying gaps in policies, something that we don't have, or if we have something that's outdated. And so from this is really the project design essentially. So once we get an approved contract in place, this phase is designing the rest of the work through to the completion of the assessment to report to council, ultimately the end. Section 2 is community engagement needs assessment. So one of the things that the council wanted to do is update the needs assessment that was done back in 2019. Ended up being released during COVID or shortly after COVID. And so updating that with current data. Section 3, staff and organization assessment. So this is looking at our staffing models, our property size, what we're doing, our positions and our job descriptions, align correctly with the type of functions that we're trying to perform. Looking at best cases, so benchmarking with other agencies of similar size, some demographics, regional based as well. Looking at, workforce development, succession planning, etc. Financial analysis, cost driven fee policy. This again is something that council was interested in. We see complaints about fees that students that our youth have to pay in order to participate in those programs, as well as complaints from some leagues that we have about the fees that are charged. So this is really looking at that as far as what we charge for in-house programming, contract classes, what we do for cost recovery, how we make arrangements with leagues and other partnerships as well. Program and service portfolio. This is life cycle and alignment. So this is more asking, is the program that we have, is it something that is actually desired? So is it meeting what the community needs? Are things that aren't really as popular anymore? Is it still worth pursuing? Are there new sports? Are there new arts, any other activities that are coming on that we should start looking at? And so look at the life cycle of programming, because everything ebbs and flows.
I'm curious,
Yeah.
are they doing that with community outreach, or are they just doing that with like benefits? Does it say?
As part of the so there's a couple. So benchmarks is a large one, but as part of the program we have at the beginning, which is the needs assessment, we also talk about community engagement. So section has community engagement as well. So the idea of how they're going to get input from, both public meetings as well as stakeholder groups, so leagues, our contract vendors, see what's increasing, decreasing. National trends will definitely be part of that too, but a lot of input from the community as well. Facilities asset management, capital needs. This is really assessing and trying to determine the facilities that we have, what their conditions are. Is it appropriate for the recreational activities that we have? Are there certain improvements that we can do that would allow for additional programming in existing facilities? We're just trying to determine how those facilities impact, how we use the facilities that we have, and just kind of maximizing You know, are there smaller improvements that we can do that allow more program to be used in the facilities that we have? So it's really just looking at the use of it, how it's being used, how it can be used with, you know, safety conditions. And then using that, and not just to identify and report out the facilities, but impacts some of the other parts of the assessment that we kind of get to in section later on.
And that'll include Christopher High
Yes.
Aquatics
Yeah,
facility.
all shared facilities that we use for our program currently. Technology data business process is more of the kind of IT component of it, so audit our registration processes, point of sale devices, scheduling reporting software and governance, our data collection, key performance indicators, etc. Section 8, equity, access, and inclusion is more looking at things such as our scholarship program. Are we balancing our services across, not just with just basic demographics, but also looking at things as far as, you know, access to computers, are we really meeting basically the various, you know, it's not really quite the right expression, but the lived experiences and the challenges that each different, that all of our residents encounter, trying to maximize how we're able to get access to our programs and services across the board. And then also aligning our scholarship programs. Partnerships, sponsorships, and volunteers, looking at the volunteer program, partnerships, looking, this is kind of that fundraising element as well. Are there other opportunities that we're missing, partnership models that we can use? I mean, even looking at, you know, facility naming conventions. So just trying to get the full scope of opportunities there for partnerships and sponsorships that we can use to help, you know, enhance programming. Then we get this is a little bit more internal risk management, safety and operations standards. So looking more at our insurance requirements, background check processes, use safety, emergency plans, insurances, standard operating procedures. Performance measurement and benchmarking is really, you know, how are we going to measure our systems and success going forward? What benchmarking do we do? What's effective, what's not effective? And this is kind of the setting the process and program for us to be able to continue that evaluation into the future with the city staff. And then we get to programmatic mini studies. And so this is looking at each of our programs, adaptive, Atlas, sports, aquatic. I think you have the full lengthy list here. And also looking at potential programs. So early child education, fitness and health, after school programs. And then evaluating each of those based on those various elements under B, staffing models, alternative service delivery models, maybe something that the city can't do very effectively or efficiently with cost, but maybe an outside vendor could. Mix of programs, our risk profile, etc. Then we have a SWOT analysis, so looking at, you know, our strengths and weaknesses for the division and opportunities and threats in the future. Growth and opportunity identification. So this is really looking at opportunities now. This is more kind of, we have the assessment. This is kind of where we are now. 14 and 15 was really looking at, okay, going forward, what do we do? So 14 is looking at growth and opportunity identification. How can recreation expand? What, based on all the input that we have from all the previous sections, can we do to expand recreational opportunities, to do it, you know, to fund it effectively from our constraints? And the 15 implementation roadmap. Now that we have this growth plan, how do we actually live it out and implement this study? So that is a whirlwind tour of this. So happy to bring any questions, if there's any comments and things that maybe we've missed that you think we should look at as well.
Open the floor. Anybody have questions, comments?
No, I think this is great. It's kind of like what we all kind of signed up for, so I'm really excited about it, especially like how we could partner up and build partnerships with the community and nonprofits. So that's super awesome.
Any questions, comments?
No, I wish that parks were included too. That's my only thing, but it is good. I'm excited and it's needed, I think.
Sam, any questions, comments?
Well, it's overwhelming. And is there a way that we could, you know, like do a study session on each of these things, where our experts come in and advise us on what we could do and collect and things like that?
So I can provide some comment. So this will be part of a regular recurring update that's going to come back to the commission as a project. So there'll be a slight pause as we go into the next phase, which is getting the council input. We'll go through the council process. Once the vendor's selected, they start doing that first phase, that first element of looking at current state. That point is when you interview stakeholders, which of course the Parks and Commission is a stakeholder. Right. And so at that point, the updates and the team reporting, will then begin. And so the thought is that you, as the Parks and Rec Commission, will provide input and feedback as you go through the process, as well as council, but council will look to the commission as well to provide its insights as far as, each of the phases we go, but also ultimately what that recommendation comes out from the consultants at the end.
So
Thank you.
also this will go out to consultants. They will develop a scope of work reflecting this to some extent, and that contract will be still subject to council approval, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So there's an iterative process where this gets defined a little more and also priced.
Yeah. Yeah, so.
With it too.
Let me finish the point. So this is the draft proposed. And what we're gonna do is each of these sections are gonna identify in the bid responses, prices for each section. And so council will select, if they may say, you know what, we don't really wanna look at the technology at this point, because the costs and what we get out of it, so that might that they might take that out. So that's the intent and process there. So, we did budget, or we did request for council, and it could be upwards of $200,000. That's for the full scope, or we think the full scope will be. Again, we won't know for sure until we bid it out. So there might be a modification at that point, or they may say, well, it's all very interesting, let's go ahead and meet whatever that the higher amount is. Again, that's totally council's prerogative. But during the process, whatever remains as far as the scope, which will be the vast majority of this, then you'll receive routine regular updates on that process. I don't know if a consultant will come to each one, that'd be a cost element that we'd have to consider. But you will get updates at least from staff as the process moves forward. And we're estimating, again, it depends on what the bids come in, 12 to 18 month process to hopefully complete this. And so it could be, it's gonna be, even though that sounds like a long time, it's gonna go by quick. There's a lot to do with this project.
I have one more, I'm sorry.
No, that's not good. Go ahead. Are there any questions? Comments?
No, just comment. I'm super excited about this. I hope this is awesome. I think, just like George said, it's well here, so I'm super excited about this. So the RFP hasn't been released yet, right? This is just a draft
Yeah,
of what is planned to be released.
Yeah, so this is just the scope of work where we're basically saying, consultants, this is what we want you to do, provide us your cost and your experience in delivering these type of projects.
And if everything kind of goes according to plan, when is the RFP expected to be kind of published? And then what was kind of timeline? I know you said,
Yeah, so the next,
months.
so the next phase, we once we get, the commission's input, not even any additions that want desired, we then start meeting with individual council members or groups of council members who will work through the mayor in order to structure that. Then, once we have all the input, it'll go back to council as a full formal RFP document for the final approval to release it. Based on the agendas that we have, which there aren't many left this year, it's probably gonna end up being January, I imagine, when we get final approval to release the RFP out to me. It's a bigger project, so probably gonna be looking towards a month and a half, maybe 2 months of solicitation, because you want to get the broadest possible, participation of consultants into this. So we're gonna try to market it heavily as we can, or as much as we can in different associations we partner with as well. And so, figure you're looking at probably March kickoff time. Again, that's really rough. There's a lot of stuff that can, some may delay it, but some we may be able to get this faster through than what we think. And so it may be faster.
And we had a follow-up?
So it'll be 12 to 18 months from estimated March, right?
Yeah.
And then, I know you said this, I didn't pick up on it till the second time. Now that I understand that the sections are gonna be bid on, I feel like I want to emphasize section 6 and capital needs. I'm thinking specifically Wheeler Community Center. I was in there playing pickleball in the summer, and it was hot and it was run down, and I think it's important that capital needs are looked up. And then I think you commented on section 9, you think is valuable, so just to put that forward.
Thank you. So you did mention cost, it could be upwards of 200,000. That's coming out of, can you tell where the funds are coming from? On that?
So it's gonna come out of some fund balance, in the recreation.
In the
fund.
recreation fund? And do you have just a ballpark, what's that fund balance is now? Cause I know we're using a big part of that fund balance to do the pickleball courts, which I know is still up in the air as to exactly how much it's gonna, but
Yeah, so it really depends on what the final pickleball. Bill is before the amendment, and what's it, one point
1.25.
253.
1.25.
The, again, it just depends on what the final, obviously what's finally built.
Okay.
Really is that, so, but there's no anticipated conflict between the budget, there's still plenty of capacity for great project time and something.
Can I, Chair?
please, yes.
I was gonna mention in the director's report, but Emily brought up the issue of the parks side of this. So last night at the council meeting, the council did ask staff to proceed with looking at the formation of a 25% set aside for capital improvements work as part of the ending fund balance dollars, something that the commission has pushed for. Now, I think the vision of that would be that, yes, parks would be a big piece of that potentially, but that could also include other capital projects, which include facilities like Wheeler or other things too. They also asked that staff bring the draft RFP that was presented to you a couple months ago for the Parks and Trail Master Plan to them in January, February timeframe, for them to consider whether they want to allocate the first tranche of that monies into that or to look at other funding sources. So there is the possibility that the Parks and Trails Master Plan sort of links in with the assessment, which is something that Recreation and Public Works have been talking about as we started to look at this assessment idea of trying to link both the recreation piece and the parks and facilities kind of piece to that point. So it's still up in the air a bit with that, but there is the possibility for that to occur and link those together.
That's awesome.
Thank you for the report. I don't think we have any public comment on that. So that we don't have anything actionable, right? We're just going to recommend to move forward.
Yeah, so all I'll do is that I'll take the comments, we'll include that in the final staff report. We're going to, that the Parks Rec Commission identified is amending items 6 and 9 as highly desirable. I'll use that language unless the commission wants to take anything different, to retain inside and then final RFP that's released to the public or to the bidders.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we're now at item 10, old business, where we talk about the Park and Recreation quarterly work plan updates.
Yes, so as noted the last meeting, thank you, Bryce.
Thank you, Bryce.
Appreciate it. Great work. We had forgotten to put this on the last meeting and something that we really needed to bring back. So thanks for reminding us. And I am pretty thrilled, I guess, as staff. A lot of times I think you see your work programs not necessarily moving forward at times, and that goes for staff and sometimes commissions alike. You're dealing with that. And the great news just going down the line, Arbor Day reminder is November 6th at Sydney Casper Park. So that's going to happen this year. So that'll be met there.
November 6th. Okay.
How was the Great Garlic Halloween event?
I will chime in because Jesse and I, Jesse said it's 25th wedding anniversary, so I thought it was a wonderful event. I thought city, particularly Judy Janice, did an outstanding job. We had some volunteers that came in and set it up. It was fantastic. There was a lot of young families out there. It was a fun event. The mayor was out there, the city council members. So it was a well done event. And we stopped by our table and it was well attended. Adam won the costume contest.
Yeah, I heard. That's
So, but it was a well attended event and the response I got from just talking to people going through there, they really enjoyed it. And the family, again, families really liked it, had a lot of fun, so, yeah, it was very well done.
And Breakfast with Santa is
Number 6.
December sixth.
All participate Saturday, get there at 7,
What day again is that?
Saturday, December 6th.
7 a.m.
7 AM.
Well, it's good because you're up because that's, you know, also the holiday parade is that day, so. So, it's a full day of fun.
I'll be there.
Good, because we need the help, that's where we're
Yes.
feeding, how many people do we feed? that day?
200 plus volunteers.
Yeah, so
Wow.
there's
That's a lot of
there, so we could use the help.
And eggs.
Yeah, I was emailing with someone and I said I'd be there, but there's no like sign up needed, right? You just
For the commissioners, no, we just need to know if you're gonna, you know, so, I know, Chair Ramirez, Commissioner Miller. I wanna say Commissioner Jimenez. Anyone else?
Tentatively put me in
Okay.
and I'll bring my 2 daughters.
Okay,
I'll
awesome.
bring everybody.
Would be awesome. Love to see that.
Cool. So, good. We'll get your reports, but, we, really thank you for your continuing to monitor and provide feedback on the parks, so.
One more before you. move
Okay.
on, that there was on the list, La Ofrenda
Oh,
event. We,
yes.
I know that people are volunteering personally, but I did talk to the guy, Ruben, who runs that. He would appreciate if we had a table at the bike event, because they're gonna have a community bike ride. So we'll have a table there just to kind of watch the bikes, how people come in and out of there. So I plan on being there for that. I think it's at 2 o'clock on November 1st, if you want to join me. And then just so you know, it's gonna come up on the agenda that very morning, that same day. We have the Christmas Hill storyboard Christian, so it'll be a busy day if you decide to do one or both, but so the for La Ofrenda, which will be that day, 2 o'clock. That bike thing, if you're interested, let me know, just text me or email me. And but I plan on having a table.
Great.
You're speaking a lot about tabling events, Luis, and thank you so much for doing that. We ever get, there was talks about a canopy involved in like.
Good question. I don't know if it's probably- it's
Or-
probably-
It's been ordered, we haven't received it yet, I don't know when it's gonna come, it should be.
I have a few other events that aren't on. Are we supposed to do that now?
Yeah, it's part of the work plan, and we're talking about the work plan, the event, so
Yes.
So we also, Adam, you were there, we did the plant sale at the Miller Red Barn. And then we did the Earth Day Resource Fair booth at San Isidro.
That was the same day.
The same
Yeah,
day.
it's a 2-for-1.
Oh, do you wanna add that to your status? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, is that, are we supposed to do that now? Should I? So is this the right time?
Sure,
Yeah. 'Cause we
Sure,
could- we could
sure.
update the plan.
sure, we'll update this, so let us know what other, you know, and you can. Let us know today, but if others are coming up that the commission is interested in, you know, commissioners are interested, we can add to those, to the list.
And then we also did the Cinco de Mayo. So the plant sale at the Miller Red Barn and the Earth Day Resource Fair were both April 19th, and then the Cinco de Mayo was 5/4.
Okay, thank you for, yeah, we'll definitely put that in the accomplishments. Part of engaging the community.
And then, I don't know if anyone else on the commission signed up for that, event in Morgan Hill on, what is it, the 6th?
Yeah.
November 6th. We're gonna be doing that. What is it called, Adam?
It's
It's a
the,
recreation conference.
yeah, they have their mini, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
so
you.
Commissioner Miller and Chair Ramirez signed up. I think that was it, yeah.
Yeah, that's,
November, Thursday,
November
November
6th is a
6th.
busy day.
So there'll be 5 of us from Recreation. We're actually gonna shut down our office that day.
that's also the Arbor Day celebration. Is that gonna conflict?
I actually, I believe the Arbor Day is the 5th. I was looking at it and I have two different, so it's the
Okay.
5th.
Yeah.
So I was just gonna point out that it's the
Yes.
5th, not the
I think
6th.
that's.
Yeah.
I'm going to.
Oh, you signed up?
I signed
Yeah,
it.
I'll be there, Pamela will be there, so it'll be a lot of
So
fun.
we'll be represented.
It's so close.
Yeah,
Is it,
So-
it's in Santa Clara?
No, Morgan Hill.
Morgan Hill, it's really easy.
so we'll be doing that,
Are we gonna get information on that? Wherever time and all that stuff?
I think
think
I
I have them,
really
right?
forward you,
Did you?
but
Okay.
you know what, I will send a reminder.
That would be great. I appreciate
Yes.
that.
Thank you.
There is a State of the City address that same day, November fifth.
There's like everything
So you know.
swear to God.
Who?
And then on the sixth, just so you know, it's the Gary Unified School District is supposed to be talking about joint use.
Mm.
So
Do we
Shoot.
you
wanna,
wanna go to
we
that?
wanna mention that, what is
What
the
day is that?
November sixth?
The board meeting is November sixth for the.
November sixth, and they're gonna talk about joint use, so just heads up on that. If you wanna attend, I plan on.
Should, I don't know if we wanna add this to our list, but that document we put together of joint use.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, that's, is it part of our,
Yeah,
I
maybe
don't know
not.
if it, whether it fits in the work plan, but we did put a document together for joint use and we said, well, on the Councilman Hilton, and we submitted to GUSD, and they're gonna be addressing that at their November meeting. So,
Times of meeting, 6 p.m.
I know, I think those are 7 p.m. Just check on their website, I think they're 7 p.m. They're 7 p.m. later.
I just wanna talk about the joint use a little bit more, cause I think the city council is pretty excited about the idea of joint use. Just from, Zach working on it, I heard Mayor Bozo talk about it. I've heard other people like do work on it and.
So I'm gonna. It's not on the work program, it's not on the agenda listed and everything, with it.
Okay,
So
got
just be careful a little
Right,
bit
right.
on it, just,
That's part of just engaging the community, big overall umbrella where that's kind of what we're doing, but maybe it's just our own.
here's what I would suggest, here's what I would suggest. The next meeting. We can agendize evaluating whether you want to perhaps amend your work program and the good news is, as we work through this. For example, pickleball facilities. The deed is done, for the most part. Now, there's a little bit of work still on our side to do. But your advocacy has succeeded. We're talking about the update of the parks. Trail master plan with the council after the first of the year. That'll, your advocacy will, be important, I think, continuing with that, but up to this point. And you've got the recreation needs assessment you heard about tonight. So, in terms of work program items that you're working on, you just knocked it out of the ballpark tonight. With all of these things, with it, and, certainly. Joint use, I don't think even came up in the conversation when we were having that,
But
but
that's a good idea.
I think we could come back
Okay.
next month. Or the next meeting and talk about adding that in, and I think, and then we could have a robust conversation about it. And at that point, we'll also have an answer a little bit from what the board's reaction was on November 6th. So I think that would be a positive as well.
Sounds
That makes
good.
sense.
All right, let's do that, please. All right.
Can I make
Sure.
a quick comment for Arbor Day? So some of the trees that were planted at Rainbow Park last year, were drying up over the summer.
Oh,
But I live around the corner from the park, so me and my dad would take gallons of water in the evening and, try to water them ourselves, but we were able to save 3 of them. The one didn't make the cut, and I think it's already cut
Okay.
off. So maybe just, moving forward, this year, making sure there's a proper system so that they get, water, I think would be great.
Okay.
Just kind of keep in mind. And if
Yeah.
we could replace that tree that didn't make it, that'd be amazing
Yeah.
too.
We'll take a look at it. Yeah, one of the things that I've been talking to staff about is getting the water bags. That help get things started. You feel, I don't know if you've seen those on the trees, they really help get. Folks started when you don't have necessarily the drip systems already, the irrigation systems. Right there, they'll feed a couple gallons and feed it over time as its own, deal with that, then you refill those. So you can do exactly what you were doing, just in a much easier way to deal with that. So we need to take a look at that where we're not looking at irrigation. So thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, so thank you for the report. I am highly pleased. This is it's really good that we've got most of our work done. We're halfway through the year, so that's pretty damn good.
I feel like it's not done until it's done.
Well,
I agree with you.
Coach, he's actually playing, right?
That.
Yes.
And-
We're all there just.
all right,
Also,
stop feeding
please
this,
do not-
stop feeding that.
Make sure you get it done.
Yeah, we'll keep-
And I'm excited. There's
we'll keep
great-
monitoring, that's for sure. Thank you. Okay, I don't think we have any public comments. But then, hopefully it comes to questions, I think we've moved the vote to receive the existing work plan. And then modify maybe for next month to include some other items like joint use. Okay,
Let's do that.
great. And now we're on item 11, the agenda, public works update.
So I'll take the parks. I apologize, as you know, John Sousa has been out, but it appears that, that he may be coming back very soon
Oh, good.
to us and everything that deal. So he's done really, great in his recovery. So I understand soon maybe. Mr. Schaus had other, family commitments, so I let him loose for the night. Good news last night, the council meeting, they affirmed the money, funding for the Delray Park equipment replacement, play equipment replacement, so that was good, and also affirm the funding for the cover out at Third Street playground as well for that deal. And so that was very good news with that. So those are moving forward. We're looking at getting delivery and starting work on that very soon. We had gone ahead and ordered it, but couldn't take delivery until we had officially the money in place. You can see the list here. We're doing obviously doing some work all around, and I'll give you an update in the director's side with regard to Little League and some of the conversations there. But we're just trying to pick up a lot of things. Pleased to report with the assistance of Commissioner Miller, that we were able to address that structure out at Christmas Hill Park and kind of get that addressed. We still have, our plan is to actually install, to look at installing also some canvas cover with that and get it covered again at some point with that. We think that we can salvage the rest of it. And, structure was the Garlic Festival, the pagoda thing out there. It was in bad shape, and we had not been responsive, so thank you for that. I do appreciate that a lot. So we continue to go and roll through a lot of this. So if you're good with that, we are continuing work on the CIP side of things. And as you know, the pickleball, and I can give you a little more update under the director's report on that one. Civic Center Master Plan continues, and it's kind of holding, not a holding pattern, but what you might see as a holding pattern. It's doing the environmental review. And San Ysidro, again, as we've indicated, was put on partial hold while we move forward with pickleball, because we have time on the grant funds, but we're still working through. We hired a landscape architect, so there's work that is commencing and continuing on that. So it's not completely shut down with that. So just so you know, and again, the retrofits, some of these other issues going on with it. And I hate to say this, but we're going to be looking at probably spring for the sports courts surfacing. We don't want to get in the middle of we've got now quotes in place, that we're working on finalizing with folks on it, but I'm a little hesitant to go out and start resurfacing work and as we head into the rainy season and deal with it. But we'll talk to the contractors and see what they think and deal with, so.
John, I see that you guys have locations to be decided. Do we know where those sports courts be servicing?
Well, clearly one of, the primary area that we were, trying to focus on was, and is Los Animas. So that's definitely where we're hoping to focus efforts with the basketball court in particular. And then, which makes sense, because if we're doing the tennis court repair, then they're gonna be doing resurfacing there as well. With it. So
But
that's
the
that
handball
point.
courts are included in that, right? Not just the basketball?
We're gonna look at the handball courts. I know there's some questions about the handball courts, so we need to look at what makes the most sense. They're they're really in not bad shape.
The courts itself aren't, I think it's an asphalt. on the-
It's the asphalt around it was the open court area, which would be part of that resurfacing effort outside of the walls, or the one that shares the outside wall with that deal. So that's the plan there.
Good. Awesome.
And you asked for Adam.
We wanted Adam to come back and
Back.
talk about our rec programs. How's it going? I think you're ago.
Yes. All right,
He's been getting to spend time with his family.
yes. All right, page 27. I'll just go down the list here. So, as you know, we've been very busy, as we always are. So with adult sports, got recreation volleyball. So this is, we started this last spring. It's been actually really popular. In fact, we have it up going on as we speak right now over a Wheeler. We invested in a net and, it's, anywhere from 12 to 18, 20 players a night. It was adults and over. And just like pickleball, you can buy a 10 visit punch pass, or you can just sign up for one day. Anyway, so as you can see, we're already getting a number of participants, and it is year round, so that's nice too. Aquatics, as everyone's probably familiar with, we are currently in the RFP process, and we will, and the RP acceptance for bids will be closing on October 24th, which is
Soon?
Thursday.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we'll give you an update next month on how that's going. Contract classes, we offer lots of classes with the help of our contract instructors, tennis, soccer, taekwondo, hula dancing, driver's ed, art workshops. We always encouraging residents, if they have a skill they would like to offer, teach, to come find us, talk to us, see if we can happen. And as you can see on page 28, second page of my report on the top, it just kind of shows in terms of contract classes, how many people are registering for those classes, just let's say fall. So last year, in the fall, we had a little over 1,000 participants. And then as of this report, there were about 677, which means we're probably on track for about another 1,000 for just our fall alone. This is just for contract classes. In addition to contract classes, we of course have the senior program, which is offered 5 days a week at the senior center. It's open from 9 to 12 every day for our residents who are 60 and over. And we continuously have upwards of over, sometimes over 100 people, just depends on what's on the menu. And also too, if we have any special events going on. So in September, we had a kind of a back to school theme. Next week, we'll of course have Halloween, it falls on Friday, so we say probably have well over 100 people. Seniors like to dress up in costumes, so it'll be a lot of fun. And we always have, of course, our costume contests. As was already discussed, we had the Great Garlic 5K. So when I typed up this report, we had 100 175 registered participants. We ended up having 175. We probably would have had more, but we had to cap it because we had to order t-shirts, medals. So it was a very successful event. This thing will be much bigger next year. I'm very proud of the staff. They got there as early as 5:45 in the morning to set up. And really the setup was beginning earlier in the week. They just were prepping and so we did a good job. Volunteered, we had a quick cleanup last month over at Christmas Home Park. We had 50 registered volunteers who removed 220 pounds of trash. And then upcoming events, I had the Great Garlic 5K on here, but also we have an intergenerational dance. It is co-sponsored with the Youth Commission. They're actually organizing this event with the help of the advisory board and of course the recreation staff. It's going to be at the senior center. It's going to be the day after the commission recognition dinner. So the theme of this dance is going to be Hollywood at the movies. So when they walk in, there'll be like paparazzi there. There'll be the red carpet. There's going to be movie posters on the wall. You will see some of that at the commission recognition. So there will be kind of a Hollywood theme going on because there's a lot of setup involved. And then of course, December 6th is the annual Breakfast with Santa event. Which we love to have your presence there. Always fun and successful. Great way to kick off holidays.
I have a question about the garbage pickup thing.
Yeah.
Was that with the county of St. Clair?
So actually, that's a California, kind of coastal.
Coastal
Yeah.
cleanup
Yeah,
day.
it's California-
Coastal
yeah, so
cleanup
it's actually
day.
a statewide initiative and everyone from as far as Eureka down to San Diego was participating.
I saw it in the newspaper and I tried to register, but I didn't see the event for Gilroy. And I was like, well, I don't want to drive like far away.
Oh,
Did
really?
we, yeah,
You know
did
what was it, you're saying in the newspaper, like the?
yeah, there was like a QR code and I like scanned it and it took me to, I think the state website.
Okay.
But there wasn't an event on the website for that I saw. Like,
Oh.
I don't know if we didn't register or something.
No, because I know we did because they give us all of those grabbers, they give us the gloves, they give us all of the stuff to have that event, so I'll look into why it wasn't
Okay.
on the website.
And maybe I missed it too. I was on Google, so I'm like, maybe. it
Yeah.
wasn't, like.
No, we actually end up going to San Jose where they have it for everyone in the county who's participating, and that's where they hand out all the supplies and stuff, so.
But there like all the areas where you meet to pick up stuff. Is that how it works? They would be listed on like the map.
I'm not sure if I understand what you're saying, but.
Would our event, I think the
Yeah,
question
yeah.
is how would our event been
It's-
listed on their website so people could know to sign up?
So typically what it is, type in your zip code.
Yeah.
And it's happening throughout the state, and then it should have landed in Gilroy. Now, why it wasn't, I don't know, and easy enough for me to find out.
Okay, yeah.
But I'll look into it,
Okay, I think so.
but thanks for letting us know. Or, yeah.
Any other questions for Adam on his staff report?
The numbers look great, especially for the classes. I think that's great.
Did you get the same experience for all the summer classes, the one that we did in-house there, or did we see an increase from last year to this year? Just trying to figure out how.
Yes and no. So our in-house camp is actually, in a lot of ways, it's kind of cannibalizing the contract camps. Largely because parents want an all-day camp with early care and aftercare. And a lot of the contract camps are half-day camps. And so it's great if someone's at home and are able to pick up and drop off. But if you want the all-day childcare experience, we were really the only camp that does that. And so I think we ended up taking from some of those camps that they would normally go to because we had this all-day offering throughout the summer. So that camp, the enrollment went up. On the contract camps, some of them did go down as a result.
Great. Okay, I don't think there's anything else. We can accept that and move on to the commissioner part. Talk about our parts and any comments in the past. So we'll go around. So.
Okay.
Sam?
I attended, let's see, I went to Carriage Hills, Gateway and Miller. And everything looked pretty good. I looked at Carriage Hills first, I went on the pathway on the, Long Meadow side and everything looked in order. And then, I went on the park side and there were a couple of people playing basketball, and other than that, the park looked pretty good. And then I went to Gateway, and the one thing I noticed about Gateway is that it looks like we're gonna get some fall flowers, because they're beginning to bud, which would be a nice addition to that, because the flowers have been coming out there as I've seen it. And they're doing that again, and then Miller, Miller is kind of interesting because on the weekends, they have big parties, birthdays and things like that. And so the aftermath of that is a lot of garbage. But is Jensen our contractor, John? No?
Well, Jensen's the landscape
Oh,
contractor,
okay.
but
Is it our people then?
they're, for the most part, that's our folks.
Okay.
So what I'm hearing is that our basically our part-time staffers help with Christmas Hill and with Miller, particularly where we have the large rentals and stuff.
And
So we need to do a better cleanup afterwards.
well, they actually, it doesn't take long for them to get to it, at least it's.
Okay.
I've gone
Good.
there and I've come back an hour later and,
Okay.
things are pretty
Okay.
clean, so. Congratulations to that part.
Can I interject one thing on the
Yes.
park, because I go to that park quite often. 2-3 weeks ago, whether somebody got the permit or not to do the big play thing over there by the off a second by the big tree, a truck came in there, and I don't know if it's the truck that comes in and brings the balloon, but it left a couple big tire marks because it probably was a little bit wet, so there's a couple of deep tire. Now, one of the parks people did come by for the soil and seed, and they seeded it, but it's still there, and I just don't know if we hold people responsible. Somebody checks that afterwards and they see if there's any damage so we can hold.
So with the bounce house, was it a bounce house?
Yes, I
Probably.
yeah, so that's what it looks like to me, like a truck that rolled up and it dropped off the bound, but I don't know for sure.
What about was
It's over there by
No.
on the Second Street side where all
No,
the tall.
they just
trees are,
do.
all the pine trees.
Question,
We'll take a look at that.
question regarding damaged parks, technically in turf. What is in play from employees to kind of follow up with those permits that a family and or a business acquired in order to have a party there? How is it that they are able to be fined and or their deposit is withheld in such an event?
So, we actually were just, so is, we, for a reservation, we usually get we give the reservations to park staff, for the weekend. That's typically when events are held. But if it's during the week, we give it to them, early. But anyways, then we get a report back and they'll just say, fine. And then if there's an issue where they found lots of garbage, where there was vandalism, destruction, they'll leave some notes. And sometimes they can't tell if it's from that event or because it's a park, right? It's open space, or if it came from something else. If it was clearly from the event, they'll let us know to hold the deposit. But if they're not sure, they'll just let us know that there was some X, Y, and Z.
For example, in that situation, if it was from like the jump house or something,
Right,
a truck going all the way in, not to carry it.
Yeah, again, with something like that, if we knew for a fact that it was the party rental company and that there was, for example, like their company logo was on the truck, that would be pretty clear that we
Makes
could
sense.
hold them responsible. But unfortunately, there are other people who, may destroy the turf. It may not
Yeah.
necessarily be them, so we just don't.
We'll, I think we can, take a look at it and just make sure that we're doing the best we can to try to attach it and kind of deal with that, but it is exactly where I figured we would be, which is, it is extremely difficult sometimes to attach the damage to a specific party. Given that it isn't open to the public park, so.
And I would say overwhelmingly, most people are great about this. Rarely do we get a complaint from parks about excessive trash, you know. There's an acceptable amount because sometimes the garbage cans are overflowing, but when they're not even attempting to throw things away, that's a story.
Mr. Bozo, didn't you have something else you wanted to talk about?
I did, but I noticed that we're down at Christmas Hill grand opening. Could I do it there? And John, is that okay? Okay.
Perfect.
So Commissioner Jimenez is not here, Commissioner Martinez had to leave, so we'll go to Commissioner Miller to talk about her park.
Del Rey, same things I've mentioned every single time. The playground structures don't look great, so I'm super excited that the council, not commission, council approved getting those retrofits because it's definitely needed. The flooding, no, there was no flooding there. The pavement is still raised in some places, but I did notice shaving on more public sidewalks, but actually in the park area, there's some still uneven concrete.
Okay.
But honestly, the park looks great. I noticed that you guys, some of the damaged benches, the front that was damaged was replaced, and it's always super busy every time I'm there. And that's for all the parks, honestly. They're really, really busy, which is
To get
awesome.
used, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. So that looks good. Sydney Casper, that was where the flooding was, and it looks like that was taken care of, and it looks great too. I noticed it's so interesting. That park has of the 3 parks I look at, there's more trash there just hanging out than any of the other parks. I know, I think that's very interesting. I wonder if there's like a breeze or something, but I did notice quite a bit of trash, and I have my trash picker. I didn't have time this week, but I will go pick it up.
And you're talking garbage that's not in the containers.
Exactly.
Okay,
And it's like, it's a lot of food
Little-
packaging.
I wonder if it's from the school across the street.
I was actually thinking that today. I was like, why is there
Okay.
so much here? But so, I
all
don't
right.
know why I'm just mentioning it.
Is there a specific time that when you're out there kind of looking and seeing? it?
It's like after work. It's like 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but that could have been after school. Makes potential sense there, so take a look, see if what
But
what staff
there's
sees it.
plenty of trash cans and they're always
Okay.
well maintained, so it's just a comment. And then the sports park, well, it looks fabulous. And the 5K event, it looked so good, like the little corn men on the trail. It looked great, honestly. You guys did a great job.
Thank you. Okay, so me, Butcher. I didn't look at Butcher, I don't know, there's much to look at there, but Aroble looks wonderful. I did get a couple people ask me, if we're ever gonna do anything with those tennis courts there. So I know it's on our list.
Well, you know, I mean, I've looked at it, I have horrible pictures. I've talked about it, there, I see no way of saving
Yeah,
those,
I
it's really, is it just a demo at this point? I'm really, disappointed that they were there, I can't fathom putting pickleballs, it's, I think it's too close to the housing
Right.
that they would go absolutely out of their minds
Great.
with it. So I think we're gonna have to at some point just figure out how to demo it, pull it up and then figure out if anything goes back on it.
Okay. Yeah, and it'll probably come up in our assessment as well too. Okay,
Mm.
thank you. Sunrise also look good. Rents stays consistent, clean. So parks look good. I talked about the bike ride already, November 1st. We talked about Breakfast with Santa, so that's all I have on my side. So Commissioner Vargas, you get the honor of coming up last.
Apologize for not being here last meeting, busy with the program, but question for you, John. The gates that are at Christmas Hill Park, do they get closed at a certain point at night, or they're just kind of open for the public 24 hours?
They're supposed to be getting closed,
Just what time do they get closed at?
late,
Like, okay,
late. We have security that does close them, but they're pretty late.
any cars left over after night? Where's, I know there's a couple families out there and what's,
It's a challenge.
not that I want them out technically, but.
No, I know Pete, we asked, well, one is the private security. Is supposed to be doing part of that work, and then obviously if there's a refusal, their direction is to contact PD. And ask patrol to come out and help move them along, so there should be no one in overnight and the gates should be locked, so. But I'm not sure, do you know what time they lock up?
City policy, my understanding, and Adam could correct me if I'm wrong, but it's 11 PM is
11
when all of our parks are supposed to be closed.
Which is, I'll say is very late, in my experience, on it, it is very late. I mean, I know it gets hot, around here, and so there is more evening activity probably because of the heat, but at 11 o'clock, across the board is later than many places, do it, so maybe that's something we look at in terms of some of the assessments and stuff and come back with some thoughts and ideas. We could do some research on that in terms of what kind of is standard out there, with it. I get when you have lighted fields, it makes sense, and there's exceptions to all of those provisions where you've got kind of lighted fields, sports park. I'll share this. I've driven by many times after these meetings and council meetings, and it's 10:30 at night and there's nobody out there at sports park and the lights are on, and that kind of bothers me with it. So I think we've got to figure out sort of the timers and what's going on out there. And I just don't think that, those lights should be on, if there's nobody out there playing on it. So
Like the actual stadium?
the stadium, yeah, the field lights were on and nobody out there. Now, I know sometimes they may have just finished like an adult softball game or something out there too. So I was looking from afar, so I didn't go dig into it, but I think they're on sometimes when there's really no one, that everybody's left. So I think we need to look at that from just an energy perspective and things that go naughty in the night.
Furthermore, thank you, John, sorry.
Yeah.
Furthermore, it's like the same 3 or 4 cars that are usually there. And I know there's like a group of dogs that are just vicious, not that they're attacking people, but they're just, they have like their own corral. I'm sure you kind of.
Not managed, yeah.
And it also creates a situation where in the field, in the grass, you encounter a lot of poop,
Okay.
a lot of waste,
So,
unfortunately.
one of the things that we've been trying to be clear about with all the folks out with the activities, we had this conversation with Little League. If any, the poo is one thing, but if any of the families feel threatened, call PD, call 911 and deal with it. It's sort of the only way that it becomes managed and dealt with it. So I mean, it's so please tell your families and the and everybody out there, if they feel at all like it's getting aggressive, it's threatening, whatever with that deal, and needs to be managed and addressed and everything, please call PD
Okay.
out there.
Another question, are the outlets supposed to be working at any facility for like, let's say, charging your phone? If you know where I'm getting at, because this.
Oh,
There's I haven't looked at it.
they should be,
When there's a rental.
Okay.
A
Yeah.
reservation.
Because there's somebody charging their phone, and I haven't looked into it just because I don't want to get into that. But they use a box of some electrical panel, and they're charging their phone off.
Tell us where.
Literally, the major softball site. And I always see somebody sitting down with their charger, and it almost seems like
It's like by the backstop.
no, it's along the parking So, and the major softball field out in the right-hand side, if you're viewing from home out into the field in that campsite, there is a green box literally next to the handicaps, one single handicap stall. There is like a green electrical box. And if I noticed correctly, I didn't look into it too close because there's somebody sitting there. It almost seems like somebody's always sitting there. The lock was probably broken.
Okay. We'll take a look.
So those are like my major negatives, if
Yeah.
anything. But other than that, the park is great. It's being used a lot on Tuesdays by middle school track and field. And a lot of recently a lot of dance groups are there now, using both sides of where the asphalt's at. The ranch side is also awesome now that we've actually closed it off, or the department closed it off, and it almost seems like you just fall on the grass and it's like better than your bed. So they did do the landscaping recently, so it's really looking good as far as what the approach that the department has taken as far as a condition of the ranch site.
That's great.
Christmas Hill.
Thank you.
So that's where I end up a lot of my days, usually in the evening. So it's really, it's exciting. It's awesome. Just other than the small concerns.
We still have on the wish list to look at restroom facility on the ranch side. The other thing I'll tell you that we are that I want to look at is a flashing crosswalk between the main and the ranch out where the trail comes down from Glen Loma. So that's on my wish list, and we're gonna look at figuring out how we could fund that and deal with it. I think it's, I'm surprised we have not had major incidents out there, kids and stuff. Just makes sense.
Last question.
Yeah.
Probably another negative. Field wise and condition, Gophers, and
Oh,
what's the best way that the department takes care of that? If there is a way.
well, in that same area, I think of the phone charging, we have individuals who are feeding the darn squirrels and giving them even more reason to live at that location. We're trying to figure out
So there's like half gopher activity. and
half
then
gopher, half
squirrel
gopher and
activity.
half ground squirrel. And I never thought I'd say this, but I'll take gopher over ground squirrel for the most
Yeah,
part.
that's true.
Except that the gophers are out in the grass area more because they tend to be out because they're eating and they have cover. I don't think the squirrels care. We're struggling because of the regulations that were put in place a couple of years ago by the state in terms of bait and other ways to get rid of those pests. So there are some ways that we can deal with it, and we're looking at it that are more humane, but still something. So, but I think one of the things that I put on my list when I was out looking at it is to probably come back and ask the council to maybe consider a no feeding the wildlife provisions period around, and that way then we can cite and PD can, whoever can deal with issues. It's not the only answer, but to help stop the feeding, because right now there's really nothing that out there regulation wise that says you can't feed them, and that's creating a problem out there. I've seen whole watermelons. I know you've seen it too. So it's out there. I'm worried they're undermining the amphitheater and doing tremendous damage out there.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. That was my highlights and my
I did want to
negatives.
bring up something. I got an email from you, and I know you copied some people in the city. I think John was on it. It talks to me about process and lights.
Yes.
So I was hoping you'd discuss that just because I think it's important to.
Well, I do want to thank Adam for finding a way to ensure that the lights are on. I know right now we have a program at Christmas Hill Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 7, and we needed the lights. So I know it was a last minute situation, and I was very confident that it would be something that could have been done, like with, hey, I'm paying for the lights. can the lights be turned on? But unfortunately, the first response was like, we might not have the ability to turn on lights at a field when there are lights there that I could technically pay for. But I'm glad that Adam took care of it, found a solution. Great. But for future reference, if there's something that we could do where we could recommend having more money allocated for personnel, because personnel is probably the most important
Yeah,
part.
actually, the ideal situation is to have the lights at Gilroy Sports Park at Christmas Hill, because at Gilroy Sports Park, it can be done from a computer.
Remotely.
And there's nothing, we don't need someone to actually physically go there and push a button, and that's all it is. But for Christmas Hill Park, we do have to do that.
And that button's underneath the box and only personnel has to open it.
Well, you need a key
Okay.
to access.
Yeah, it's old school.
It's very.
How much
So,
does something like that cost to upgrade it?
I don't,
Again,
we'd have to.
we can,
Is it like a big switch or multiple switches? Or is it like a timer that could just be like on, off?
I don't, it's really not too, it's pretty much a big switch.
It's not even a switch, it's
Yeah,
literally just
it's,
two buttons.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, it's-
so it's just, and, you know, the unfortunate part is, up until the end of July, we had a evening custodian who would do those types of assignments, and it would never be an issue. He retired in July, and we are in the process of hiring another one, so we don't have one, and we're already short-staffed, so it was just trying to find people, and, but we're gonna make it work, so.
I would like a job description of that. person.
and,
But I'm glad
Yeah.
that. yeah,
we'll,
Apple did
we'll,
do what it did.
I, this first I've heard of of the question about maybe going with the remote control on that, so it's worth taking a look and seeing what it, with technology today, I can't really imagine it being that expensive to do that, but
Yeah, I mean.
But let's take a look at it.
The
Yeah.
infrastructure's there, it's
Yeah.
just the connection.
yeah, we can take a look at that.
That'd be great.
Chair,
Thank you.
Chair,
All right,
before,
we're at the, Yes.
just really briefly, I wanted to fact check myself, just to make sure that I was given the, proper information. I did go on the city's website. So parks are open 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. November through February. So during that period is when they close a little earlier, but from March through October, which is the period that we're currently in, it's from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. And then for San Ysidro and
You keep.
San Ysidro and Las Animas, they're open year round at 11 p.m. So there's a little bit of nuance, but there's clearly an interest from the commission on kind of exploring our lighting and at our different parks. So
Looking at hours also.
yeah, looking at that policy.
I will say this, I mean, from the security perspective, it adds complexity to our security efforts out there, that 11 o'clock closing point, because that means they can't even start to ask people to move on until basically 11:01. And then, people take their time, and then that gets to the point of going around and getting the gates closed. Or getting PD out to help them move people along. So, and then that also gets challenging because you're leaving your restrooms open and having to manage the restroom situations until that point. So there's some challenges with that. So I'd like to come back and have a conversation about it. I'm sure there's a history there, and we're probably I probably, as soon as I suggest something different, we'll find out all the history and how wrong it is that the staff thought about maybe changing it. So that's okay. I'm used to it.
All right, so.
Cool.
Item 13, director report.
All right, I'll be quick with this, but good stuff. Obviously, I think by now you're aware that the council 2 meetings ago now authorized moving forward with the courts and 6. So we're looking at initially 6 AC courts but with an additive alternate, of the post-tension concrete. And so we're hoping that we can, make that work within a reasonable budget at that point. They will be lighted. And, the council did, take a couple of the items out. They has added alternates, including the covered, cabana, benches with, I think, the hope that perhaps, working with the pickleball community and other members in the community, that they may actually come forward with donation and funding for that. Also, an additive is that, is the 6 foot and the 8 foot, perimeter fence height. There was a feeling that one, and then the windscreens were also in that mix for an alternate, to that. So,
I do have a
um,
question about the
yeah.
fences.
Good.
I was reading over the like packet from
Mhm.
that meeting, and it said the plan was approved with 6 foot perimeter fences. And I don't think that's high enough, and I think some of the council meant
and
that they don't-
that's why we have an 8 foot alternate to that.
8 foot perimeter is high, like, I was trying to actually.
8 foot's
look
pretty
what
commonplace.
standard it
Yeah, it's
is.
pretty standard. The tennis courts are at 10,
Yeah, I
at
was-
10, and you know, because the ball bounces so much higher.
yeah,
with that.
I definitely, I don't know if now it's time to comment, but.
Yeah.
I don't think 6 foot is even
Yeah. I,
a possibility.
my feeling is this. 8 foot's where we're kind of, where we'll land with it. And the reason why that also gets your windscreen up higher.
Mm.
So on top of, not so much the balls flying out of 6 or 8 feet, but you get the windscreens a little higher. But we'll see where we come in with that. I'm not horribly concerned about the price point on that. And,
On
I
6 foot.
agree. Optimally, staff would agree that 8 feet is optimal on that rather than the 6.
I mean, I don't know what standard is. I was literally trying to look
Yeah.
what standard like recommendation is, and.
Yeah. I really
think
couldn't
it's-
find anything that, and I've looked at multiple courts out in the world. They all vary. I've seen some that don't even have perimeter fencing, which I think is nuts. But I've seen a couple of them out there
Wow.
with that. So,
Especially next to the dog park. Could you imagine?
yeah, but no, we were not suggesting that. So, we'll, things are moving along. I will say, I think at this point, we will definitely be, at or ahead of what we said schedule-wise with it. We're moving things along, everything we kind of come up with in terms of electrical work and stuff is looking better. I think we can save, some cost out of that, where we have, we believe at this point, pretty clear, we have available capacity there. So we're not looking at any PG&E, upgrades and work or delays from their issues. So, I think we're gonna be in good shape with that. So I'll, more information, but at this point, staff is really moving it along. They understand the interest in getting that out to bid going, so.
That's awesome.
So working on it. So stop worrying about it.
I'm so.
So, Matt and I went out with Little League on the September 26th, and we walked Christmas Hill and Los Animas. So that was, very good, Mr. Castro. That was, very good. We've got a punch list of some items. Again, we were looking at we're working on some of the issues of the varmint holes. We'll just call them varmints. They cover both of those wonderful creatures that are out, and particularly at, Christmas Hill. We'll be working on some, fence replacement work there where it's been, I think balls hit into the fencing and pushed out like every baseball field gets or softball field. Some areas there, some regrading out, to make sure we get the drainage right. And then, we are gonna look at probably using some of the Little League's baseball fund that they provided to the city, as part of their deal for some, covers over, the, dugouts at several of the fields, everything with that deal to give some cover during this, the summer.
Did a,
Summer
did a new
days.
MOU get put together between them?
That is still, out in the ether at this point. Basically, we feel like that is going to have to wait for the assessment before we can have a meaningful conversation. So we did meet in advance of that 26th meeting with Little League to talk about the assessment. So part of that issue of why that one section's in there under the leagues and fees to start to evaluate that and run from that point, and really until we get a full understanding of that, and also all the leagues to some extent come together. And we have sort of agreement on, hopefully, on when, certain leagues get certain use of the fields and we're not fighting about and competing for those fields and people logging up and locking up the fields because they get mad at somebody and and make sure that they can't use it for whatever reason or whatever. So we've got to kind of work through some of the little pettiness that also happens out sometimes, as humans will be with it. So really, that's kind of on the assessment side, waiting out the MOU with that. We are again November 5 for the Arbor Day. You've got that information there. Great. San Isidro Story Walk update. Yes.
Just quickly before we move on, I did want to make a note. Usually past practice is the chair receives the Arbor Day proclamation at the city council. That is scheduled for November 3rd, council meeting, so 6 p.m. November 3rd. Luis just wanted to
Are you
confirm
available?
your availability for that. And then, as John mentioned,
Yeah, I can
the
make it.
additional information on the Arbor Day stuff is included in the packet, so you can see kind of where the trees are being planted, and there's a draft flyer that Pamela made, so wanted to point that
And I
out.
just spoke to John Schaus and they're getting the trees, wiring the trees and everything, so they'll match up with what's out there to replace ones that have died over time with that deal. San Isidro Story Walk.
Okay. So. I first got on the commission.
Go get the,
What
go
happened?
over there, go get the check. Go get the check.
I can tell you the story.
Oh,
So when I first got on the commission, Stanza Wong came to the commission and said, I have $3,000 for you, and if you want to do a story walk. And it took a little while, but John, your letter in this packet was fantastic. You said, now, did you write it, or Brian, did you write it?
I'll take care of it.
John, did you? And what it said was, we're gonna dedicate the story walk at Christmas Hill on November 1st. So, here's my question to John.
I'm gonna help you with this, Chuck.
Yes. Here you go.
woohoo.
So here's the $5,000. The check has been written. We'd like to present it. If there's any way that you could get us to be as a part of that November 1st, 10:30, after their dedication.
Sure.
Is that if we could come and do a combination of Gilroy Elks and the Library Commission
Mhm.
and present that to them on that day. If there's any way that you could do that, that would be fabulous. So now.
Let's see what we can do.
3,000 of that came from Christopher Ranch. 2,000 came from the members of the Gilroy Elks. Louis, thank you very much for being there on Italian night. that's where we made our money. And so just want to say it was a great event, but also this is a great event. Make this happen, or support them in their next thing of maybe San Ysidro. That's where we want to go, San Ysidro, and we want to
Mhm.
involve the community, and so.
Yeah, so, I'm talking to Javier earlier, we plan on, Cassandra, the librarian.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be there, welcome everybody else, we're gonna join their next cafecito that they
Yep.
do in November. Just to.
Great.
Just to inform them, hey, we wanna do this at San Ysidro Park, we're looking for community input. We're doing a bilingual story, just let them know what we're doing. And get input from the local community so we can hopefully do something like that. Now that we've done it once, I'm assuming it'll go a lot smoother and faster, we can do it out at San Ysidro in the springtime.
Yep. So we, I was sharing before the meeting with Luis and Sam that we have reached out to the library folks to and they want to go into a new MOU. So it's in their court at this point. So I was gone for a week and a half, so I'll reach out and just see where we are and see what they're doing. But I know they're excited about it.
Thank you.
And moving that forward. We'll reach out and see what we can do to get to get this part of their program out there. So we'll see what we can do.
Gave us a memo, and Adam, did you get a copy of that? No, I'm not sure. Just recent, just came in the last day or so. Anyway.
Yeah.
She's in there, and.
Okay.
So, John, I remember the last time we talked about this in our pre-planning.
Mhm.
The original story, you said that it looked like there was some water that got into those boards. Is that still an issue? Is that?
I'm a little concerned, when we, Matt and I were out for the, Little League, walkabout, we were, doing the story walkabout too, just taking it in. But that was, the day after, or 2 days after we'd had that downpour, that weird, rains and downpour. And some water appeared to have gotten into most of those boards. So I haven't had a chance to really talk to them about it. I think it's dried out at this point, but my concern is over the course of the winter time with it that they at least take a look at that and see if there's a way to caulk and seal that up a little better and deal with it.
Yeah, because I think the last thing we want is to do this beautiful storyboard, then
Yeah.
get a rainstorm and then it just discolors it.
Yeah,
We just have a bunch of boards out there nobody can read.
yeah.
So.
And I'm concerned about it's in shade for the most part, but that's good. But I am concerned also about the sun damage out there. So part of that's gonna be how often do they change out the story? They were talking about, I think quarterly, I think they were talking about it. If that's the case, sun should be not a problem. I am concerned about the water, so.
And
We'll
the
talk to
story, the
them
story
about it.
did change, right? Because it's not the same story when I first came out there after you and I talked. And then I went there just a few days ago and now it's a bilingual story, so
Oh, okay,
so
great.
They changed stories already, yeah.
Oh, good, good.
So,
Good. I hope that, I know that the library, outreach folks and communications folks are talking to Rochelle in our shop. And I'm hoping that, that we can get in a regular rhythm where they let us know that they're changing the story.
right.
And just keep it in people's minds that, hey, it's like, because I think I'll just share, my deal is if I know it's the same thing, it's like museums get very stale. If you go and it's the same thing all the time and deal with that, same with the storyboard, if it's not changing. And I think that's important. So
Yep.
I think we can continue to put that in our e-news and stuff when they change that, it'd be great.
Yeah, I told you already, but just, I really enjoyed the story. It was good. And
That's fun.
I do have a question. It was kind of hard to like figure out where the story started because it wasn't numbered or anything. I was like, it was fine, but are we gonna add numbers?
It has page numbers in the bottom, at least the one I saw had page numbers at the bottom.
You
And
really
then you
did?
can follow it, and it did, number 1, and then 15 ended up, so you have to, it's kind of weird, but you have to kind of, which is kind of fun.
Maybe it was on the page, but I was looking on like the post or something like
It's-
external.
The only other thing I'll add, and I actually had this conversation with Rochelle today, is there's logos on the start and the end, so you'll see the library district and the city's, you know, like information sealed on there, and that is kind of a helpful, you know, nod for folks to, when you see that, it's kind of the start and then it's also at the end.
Yeah, I did notice that, but it was just like, where do I
Yeah,
go? Like,
that's
if there
it.
was something like not on the page, especially if it's small, like,
Yeah.
it couldn't be that expensive to buy house number signs and them to the post or something.
I'll take a look at it. But, yes,
I noticed on one of the storyboards, they had not an advertisement, but acknowledgement of, the library and, I'm not sure who the other acknowledgement was. But, it would be great since, Jory Elks was the initiator of that to join with the library group to have that on one of those boards.
okay,
So,
That's the one in San Isidro Park,
I'm sorry?
the one in San Isidro
Yes.
Park.
yeah,
Yes.
Right.
yeah, I. That, we could put that, we'll just have to look at that within the MOU.
Right.
Yeah.
That'll be a great place to put that, but acknowledge the funding, yeah.
And by the way, there were 17 Italian kids that came from Italy and made the pasta for that event. And they had a good time doing it. And that helped a great deal. And again, thanks. And Cassandra was there that night also. She had a table and I signed up for the library. So,
There you go.
yeah,
Good.
thank you.
And we touched already on Christmas Hill, so I hope folks can get there. I'll work on, with Brian, we'll work on trying to figure out how to get the check exchange occurring.
Yeah.
At that point, with that'll be great to do that. And I've already told you about the council meeting and Parks Master Plan stuff, so I'm done.
Very good. I think there's no further business. I call to adjourn the meeting at 7:48.
Thank you. Good meeting.
Thank you.